Hey guys, what we're going to try and do today, in fact what we're going to succeed in doing today, is cooking some of the venison meat that I shot a few weeks ago. I shot this in the Victorian Highlands. This is sambar meat, and I shot a spiky, and we're going to sous vide the meat today. So it's not, I would never have heard about sous vide if it wasn't for my wife, so don't think this is some genius of mine. But it's actually really a unique way of cooking and a really cool way of cooking something for a long time to soften the meat up without drying it out. And you can also keep the meat quite rare because you're cooking it over such a long amount of time. But the basic principle of it is you're cooking the meat in water. You use a tool which will keep the water temperature regulated. You seal the meat inside a either tie it into a bag which seals it so that the water can't get in, or like we do, we use the Foodsaver and we seal all our meat because we wet age it anyway. So all of our meat is basically broken down out in the field, and we wet age it while we're there because these things have a 12-volt adapter with them, so we can basically do it at the back of the car. So when we're out and about, we try and make sure that we get the meat, you know, pretty much ready to go and sealed and sorted before we even leave. Having said that, what we're going to do today, we're going to mix it up with a few different recipes and try and show you guys just some different ways about how you can prepare your meat, different ways about how you can cook your meat, and show you a bit about why you would sous vide. And I'll just add to that by saying that even though this is a spiky that I shot and it should be fairly tender, one of the great benefits of sous viding the meat is that it will generally tenderize the meat very well anyway when it cooks. And it's because it cooks it so slow, but also because it cooks it in its own moisture, and the moisture doesn't evaporate like an oven. So in an oven, you're going to have air flowing over the top of it. You've got hot air continually going onto it, which is burning the outside of the meat and drying it out. That doesn't happen when you sous vide. In fact, you can pretty much cook this medium rare for several hours, pull it out, slap it on a hot pan and just sear it, and away you go. You've got the perfect meal. Anyway, that's what we're going to do today, and we'll show you some of that shortly. So what we're going to do today is we've got two pieces of meat. I've got a small piece, both are off the rump, and so I've got a small piece which we're basically going to rub this in chili jam. We're going to open it up, empty out a lot of the liquid from it, even though there's not much anyway, but you just want to get any excess liquid out. Then we're going to cover it in chili jam. We're going to reseal it, probably with a few a few pieces of garlic and a little bit of onion. The second piece I'm going to do similar but not the same. We're going to put a steak rub on it, and we're also going to chuck a couple of pieces of onion in there, and then just basically put it in the water, set the temperature, and leave it. And today we're going to do it for a couple of hours, but in general you could actually sous vide something for a day, 2 days. And in fact, most people when they want to do something like ribs or some of the meats where you really want to soften it up, this is the perfect way to do it with the sous vide. So just keep that in mind. I'll show you the device that we use. We just purchased one online based on recommendations we had from other people, and we've used it quite a bit. It works well. It even hooks into your phone if you're kind of fancy like that and want that kind of thing to be look cool. So but I don't use it like that. I just plug it in, turn it on, and I go do my stuff. So and that's what you can do with sous vide. So let's go. Always worthwhile washing your hands. When I was younger, I worked in the meat industry for quite a while at the abattoirs. If you open a bag like that and you're going to touch the meat, usually you should no matter what, wash your hands afterwards before you go and touch this meat, because you don't want to cross-contaminate anything. So if there's something wrong with this, you don't want to move it into this. And that's why you wash your hands in between and make sure that, you know, you keep that kind of cleanliness thing going on. If you've got something just to kind of give it a bit of a dry out, that helps. Doesn't need to be super clean, but just a clean cloth. It doesn't need to be super dry inside, I meant, not super clean. You do want it super clean. But I've got enough length in this bag to reseal it, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to spoon in some chili jam, and because I've recently washed my hands, I'll probably get a little bit dirty, and what's that chick that does all the sexy food shows?
Nigella Lawson.
Yeah, there you go, I'll do a Nigella Lawson. So there we go, rubbed right in, and I'll chuck a little bit of garlic in there in a sec after I wash my hands. And just give me a sec. So the chili's good anyway. Everybody likes a little bit of heat, well most people do anyway. One of the good things about a jam is that the jam goes really well, and most fruits do go really well with venison. So traditionally, and we've been years ago, we were in Finland and we had reindeer meat, and their traditional meal is to cook it with like a berry sauce, and it's absolutely beautiful. It goes off, it's just like nothing else. It's fantastic. It's kind of a stroganoff-y type base, you know, or saucy type mix, but with this you know, berry kind of conserved stuff that they put over the top of it, which is absolutely smack on. There's nothing else I've ever had that equaled how good that meal was at that time. So, but it just seems to be a fact that most of your venison meat goes really, really well with any kinds of your fruits and jams and stuff like that. So we're going to seal this again now. I'll chuck in a little bit, I'll cut up a few little bits of garlic. And then I'll just spread that through. Doesn't really matter, just keep it in there. And I'll clean the top. And the one thing I've forgotten is the onion. So I'll cut a couple of little slices of onion. Again, you don't have to be too careful. Just grab some slices of onion. Chuck them all in there. Geez, I'm about ready to take a chunk bite out of that myself right now. Smells bloody good anyway. Alright, now make sure my machine's on. Put that back in here. Lay that down. And we will go. Nice and tight. Now the really cool thing is, if you didn't want to cook this right now, you can just go and chuck that straight in the freezer and it's a meal ready to go at some stage. So, because I've just sealed it or resealed it, and you don't want to unfrost and refrost meat very often, but you can do it. And so you could bring it home, you know, wet age your meat and then unpack it, put in the mixes you want, and then just leave them in the freezer like that, ready to go. So that you know, in a couple of weeks' time, you break it out, chuck it in the sous vide, and go and do what you got to do, and come back and you've got this awesome meal cooked. And there you go. We've got a meal ready to go, ready to cook. So I'll sit that there. I'll do a little bit of cleanup, and I'll come back and we'll set up the machine. Alrighty, here we go again. So this second piece of meat, what we're going to do is same deal, open the bag, get him all ready. I've pretty much washed everything down now, cleaned it all up, and we're just going to do this one real basic. A nice steak rub and some onion, and that's it. And maybe a bit of salt and pepper, but you know, nothing too fancy. Put some rub on this one. Get him all stuck into there. Whew, smells fantastic. Need to give myself some more room. Get that right into all the little spots and rub it right in so it's completely into the meat. Little squeak of salt. Alright, wash that salt off again. And she's almost ready to go. Let's hope I made the bag big enough. Should be good. Man, if only we had smell-o-vision. The smell of this it just smells fantastic already. And I haven't even cooked it yet. Now I'll just dice up a few little bits of onion again. In there. Get some right down the bottom as well. Spread it out through the meat. Alright, and we're just about ready to seal again. So we, like, you know, there's lots of people, even other hunters that I've hunted with that say, oh mate, I wouldn't eat that garbage, it's flipping, you know, they don't eat venison and they're hunters still. But yeah, it just surprises me every time I hear someone say that it either tastes really gamey or it's, you know, it's too tough, or it's just tastes like crap anyway, or it's all about how you prepare it. I mean, any meat, it doesn't matter what you do with any meat, it's how you prepare it. For me, I know that some guys might argue the toss, but I get the skin off real quick as I can. I cool the carcass down as quick as I can, and I break it down as quick as I can. And I also get it into these sealable bags as quick as I can, so that it starts aging, wet aging in the bag without oxygen. So, you know, that all, to me, is about emulating the process I seen when I was working in the abattoirs when I was a young bloke. And because that's exactly what the abattoirs do. Now, you know, even while I was on the farms with my family and stuff like this, I mean, it was the same deal. You break the animal down quickly, you move it off to either a dry or a wet aging process really quick, get the skin off it, make sure it cools down. They're the two most important things. But then afterwards, prepare it like you would anything else. You know, don't just throw it in a pan, you know, and think that it's going to turn out fantastic. You know, if you dropped most cattle today, right now, cut that meat up and chucked it in a pan, it's not going to taste the same as when you age it and when you give it time to actually process and break down. And that's exactly why the abattoirs do it the way they do. That's exactly why the butchers break meat down the way they do. there's a good reason for it, and that's because it tastes better afterwards. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with fresh meat, but certain cuts certainly lend themselves very well to going through the aging process. If you're going to cut the back straps out and say, well, that's all I want because that's all that tastes good, well, you're missing out on some of the best meat you can actually get. And that's the rest of the meat that's on the deer. So anyway, we'll certainly put up a number of tutorials about how to break down meat. We've already got some up on our site, so please have a look. If you want to know some more about that, by all means message us as well, and we can give you plenty of details on how to treat the meat. There we have it. There's one. A nice rub with some onion on our rump, and there's another piece of the rump with a chili sauce, a jam and chili sauce, and some onion and garlic. Both of which are going to go in the pot, and I'll show you that just now. The machine that we use is called Anova, and it's just one of the ones you can buy online. We're not sponsored by these guys, or no other reason to tell you about it other than the fact that it works, and it works well. So the machine itself is just a fairly simple machine. You could make some connotations, I'm sure, but nevertheless, it's fairly simple. All it does is bolts onto the side of the pot or the pan, generally the pot that you're using, like so. You'll plug it in for the power. So I've set the Anova to 54 degrees. Like I said, you can control it with your iPhone if you want, although I'm not that fancy, so for me it's just set it with the dial and then push play to go. But we chuck a wood board underneath it just to protect the bench. I mean, it's up to you, but it is going to be 54 degrees Celsius. I'll get one of the girls to add what that is in Fahrenheit to the details below. Yeah, but 54 degrees, couple of hours. Both of these will go in the same, and then we'll bring it out and show you the result shortly. Just one note to finish off with before we leave this here to go. You need to make sure that the meat is fully submerged. So make sure it's completely covered by the water so that it gets a full the full experience of the heat. And because that's what's happening, the heat's actually wrapping around the meat in the water and slowly cooking the meat for you. So make sure it's not floating or anything like that. And if you do your bags properly, you'll have very little air in there anyway, so they'll sink. And away you go. Good luck. Alrighty. We have pretty much waited just over 2.5 hours to see how these are going. And they look pretty much cooked. And either way, what we'll do is we'll take them out. I'm going to slice them up, and then we'll just sear them in a pan, and then away you go. So give your knife a good touch up, a bit of a sharpen. If you don't know how to sharpen a knife, we'll do something on that soon. In the meantime, we'll turn this off. So it's just a push button, pretty simple tool. Grab these out. So that's our bigger piece of rump. And in here, if I don't burn my fingers off, that's our smaller piece right there. That's the one with the chili. And what I'll do is I'll bring this board over so you can have a look. Hopefully you can see that a little bit better. Switch that off. Get rid of that. Give this a little bit of a smell. Oh, mate, that smells bloody fantastic. I can tell you, that smells very good. Alright, there we go. That's one of them cut up. Oh, nice. And there you go. I'll take it. Oh, that's bloody fabulous. That is seriously bloody fabulous. So, yeah, you can eat it straight away like that. I mean, seriously, I just did. So, you know, absolutely bloody fantastic. But, other thing you can do is take a piece. I'm just going to go a bit this way. Throw it on a pan and just sear it either side. But you don't want to leave it there long. You only want to leave it there for not even a minute each side. Just sear it and then bring it back, chuck it on a plate. Alright, that's that piece. Not even a minute each side. And just to give it a bit of browning on the outside, and it's absolutely perfect. You won't get a better piece of meat. Soft, really easy to eat, and tastes bloody fabulous. So now we got that one. Let's try the chili. Man, that's good. I didn't want to share. The pregnant lady's stealing all my food. Alright, let's open this chili one. We'll have a whiff first. Oh, mate, that smells fabulous too. Oh, check that out. That is bloody fabulous. Cut that across. There we go. Now that's after 2 hours, 2.5 hours in there, just slow cooking. Still perfect. Nice and oh, tastes bloody fabulous too. Still nice and fresh. So again, I'll chuck this, even though that's bloody perfect, you can eat it like that, no worries. I'll put a bit of fat in the pan. Chuck it back in the pan, let it sizzle, real hot, flip it over, real hot on the other side, and that's done. All it is some duck fat, just to brown it up, make it nice and crisp on the outside, and you've got the perfect meal. Have a go.